Hey guys, this is just a short video where I'm going to cover some of the main issues that popped up when I was grading these papers. Almost all of them that have been turned in now are done, and so you'll see feedback on those pretty soon, and this is to give you an opportunity to get started rewriting them before Monday when I go over this again. Remember, the final drafts for these are due on Tuesday night. So, first of all, a lot of people are still confused about thesis statements. You guys were writing thesis statements in high school, and you're writing thesis statements now, and for some reason, this is a really confusing concept to people. But it's a very simple thing that a thesis statement's asking you to do. You're just supposed to state the main idea of your paper in a single sentence. That's pretty much it. It can be an argumentative thesis statement, which would look something like this. So that would be an argumentative thesis statement. Standardized testing should be abolished because it hurts students and hurts schools. Alternatively, you can have an informative thesis statement, which might look like this one. Yeah, so first one of these would be arguing different reasons standardized tests are bad for schools. This one would be arguing that a period in history, it's not arguing, but discussing a period in history and how much conflict actually took place in it, even though it doesn't have that name. For your paper, it just needs to do that. Just think of what your topic is. Think of what you're writing about. Nursing shortages are happening all over the country because of this, this, and this. Whatever. But there needs to be a sentence at the end of your introduction that states that. If it's somewhere else in your introduction, that's not going to work as well. Just make sure it's at the end of your intro. You can't have a thesis statement that's a question. You can't have a thesis statement that's something like, this problem will continue for a while. It needs to be, it needs to state the things that are happening in your paper. It doesn't need to have a lot of like it and things like that replacing the actual words. Just very straightforward. You should be able to pluck this sentence out of your paper and people will know what your paper's about. Okay, next, why we cite sources and why we use sources. So, a few people turned in papers that didn't have any sources in them. And if you're doing that, you're not actually writing a research paper. I think the highest grade I gave one of those was a 50. You're just stating your opinion, and that's not the same as a research paper. The idea for the way that we learn is we hear things or read things or explore things from a lot of different points of view, and eventually we're able to form that into a clear picture of what is really close to the truth. You can't form that from one source. If you only learn about something going on in the world from your dad, you're going to have a skewed vision of how the world works. You need to go out into the world and you need to meet a lot of different people and learn about the world that way. Same thing with this. You need to read a lot of different articles, hear a lot of opinions, and see how this subject of yours works before you actually end up writing about it. And then you need to also cite where you got all of that information from so that anyone who reads your paper can go back and learn all of the same things you did, learn them as thoroughly as you did, so they're not just catching the little quotes that you put in there, they're going back and they are able to find the full context of all the things that you read as well. That's how we create this kind of web of knowledge in the university system that is supposed to make us smarter and smarter, and it mostly does. But this is one of the most important things that we do in college. It's something we do better than, like, newspapers most of the time. If you aren't citing your sources, you aren't creating a works cited page, you aren't doing all of the things that we're talking about doing in here, it's going to cost you points in all the papers that you turn in. Many professors will just grade you based on the sources you found and how correctly you do your works cited page. So, speaking of works cited pages, this is the works cited page from our sample paper. Only has 5 sources in it. And this is what yours should look like too. If you have some spacing incorrectness, like if these are indented wrong, I'm not going to get super bent out of shape about that, but some professors will. Some of them will just grade you based on this, like I just said. All of your works cited citations need to have all of this different information. Authors, if possible, titles, where things came from, the dates they were published. And I've shown you guys 4 times how to find that. If you haven't, if you don't remember, then you can check the videos that I've attached to the source finding assignments to find them yourself, or create your own works cited. But you need to have one of these at the end of your paper. It shouldn't just be hyperlinks. You also need to have a citation for every source that you used. Another mistake people were making was that they weren't actually putting the same works cited page as they did. Their works cited page didn't have the same sources in it that their paper did. And I think part of why that happened was because people went back and found new sources. But hopefully you wrote those down, because now you have to make a works cited page that has all of those sources in it. Your works cited page needs to be a list of every source that you had in your paper, and if yours isn't, then it costs you a lot of points and you're going to have to go back and rewrite it. But like I said, if you don't remember how to do that, go find the citation assignment, go find the finding sources assignment, and it shows you how to go about all of that. Using your author's words, if you use any words that your author wrote, you need to go back and put it in quotes, or you need to paraphrase it and put it in your own words. What you can't do is just change a couple of words and pass it off as your own writing. That's not paraphrasing. That's not putting it in your own words. Putting it in your own words is taking like 3 paragraphs and summing them up really quickly, and then putting a citation at the end to show where you got that information from. That's more like what I'm talking about there. Putting it in your own words is not taking another person's article, changing a few of the nouns and verbs in it, and then turning that in. That'll get you in a huge amount of trouble if you are doing that. And then finally, topic sentences. Every paragraph needs to have a topic sentence. Some people are starting their paragraphs off with just straight research, and that's not going to really cut it. You need to make sure every paragraph has a sentence at the beginning that's pretty much laying out what that paragraph's about. I know this isn't how it works when we're reading stories or something like that in your other English classes. I know it gives away the game sometimes, but this isn't an assignment where you're trying to pull people along with breadcrumbs or whatever. They're going to read this. You're trying to just be as organized as possible and make this as easy to read as possible and as easy to understand as possible. That's the idea. Alright guys, if you have any questions, send me a message on Blackboard or email me. And these are due, the final drafts of these are due Tuesday at midnight. They will not be accepted after that because of how much grading I have to do Wednesday. Alright guys, good luck. I'll see you all on Monday.